Welcome to your Huddle South Central's Let's Listen podcast. Here we're dedicated to discussing mental health topics openly and honestly. Before we begin, we want to remind you that the information provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of Huddle South Central. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, mental health research and understanding are always changing, and information shared in this podcast may become outdated over time. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, we encourage you to seek help from a qualified mental health professional. Please don't disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast. By tuning in to Let's Listen, you agree that we will not be held responsible for any actions taken based on the information provided. Always consult with a mental health professional or healthcare provider for specific advice related to your individual situation. We appreciate you listening and for taking care of your mental health.
All right, people, of every kind, open your ears, it's time to listen. My name's Omar, and I'm your guest host today. Officially, I'm the Service Navigation Specialist at Huddle South Central. Unofficially, I'm just a dude, sometimes crude, sometimes rude. My pronouns are he, him, and I love the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Had to get that in. I got a couple of great characters with me today. I got Bre and Jinx, and we're here to talk about anxiety and relationships. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Bre?
Hello. I'm Bre. I use they, them pronouns. I am 24. I'm a university student at the University of Manitoba. I've been working with Huddle South Central for about 3 years now. And happy to be here today. I have lots of experience of anxiety and relationships, and both of those combined. So excited to share my hot takes on those.
And we've also got Jinx with us. Hey, Jinx.
Yeah, speaking of anxiety right now. Hello, my name is Jinx. My pronouns are just he, him, stuff like that, I guess. I am 18. I'm a high school student. And I've been with Huddle for maybe about, I want to say like 4, maybe even 5 years. Talking about anxiety, relationships, and all the above.
Perfect. So, anxiety and relationships. What are we talking about today? What about anxiety and relationships? What
do I want to talk about?
Yeah, what side of the relationship? Are we talking about personal relationships? Are we talking about family relationships?
I think this conversation can go in a lot of different directions. If you want to go the route of abandonment issues and anxious attachment style, I find that it really affects all kinds of different relationships. But then if you want to talk about issues with confrontation, I think that relates a lot to family relationships and friendships. So there's lots of ways that we can take it. So I don't know, Omar, what do you think?
All right, let's start with attachment styles.
Yeah.
Let's start with attachment styles. It's a lot that starts from childhood, right?
Absolutely.
So,
I think so.
Yeah, so what do you think? Go ahead, tell me about attachment styles. What do you know?
Oh, I'm certainly no expert on attachment styles, but I think they're really fun to learn about. Certainly not to completely identify yourself with them or put yourself in a box per se, but I definitely grew up and for a long time identified with an anxious attachment style in that I was very codependent and relied on others for a source of safety and comfort, and really struggled with finding that within myself. So that's kind of where the codependency comes in. So yeah, but then you also have avoidant attachment style. I think dysregulated is one of them. I'm not quite sure. And then there's the healthy attachment style, which of course everyone strives for.
Which is what?
Unfortunately, I am no expert in healthy attachment, but yeah, I would say healthy attachment is reminding yourself that you are your own person and you can find a source of safety and comfort within yourself rather than looking for it in other people and needing that sense of validation constantly in relationships.
Okay. Jinx, what do you think? What about anxiety and relationships you want to speak about?
Well, just thinking about it right now, and I think I'd like to speak more on a personal side of things, because anxiety, yeah, that's something I've had a problem with since youth, and mainly and relating to relationships, I guess, as well. I have a problem with, I guess, confronting women, just because my mother left me when I was young, and that left me with a trust issue with women and how to speak up and open up to them. And I've been anxious around women since like that does anything.
That makes sense. What situations in a relationship, or what situation when you're dealing with a woman triggers anxiety? Like what causes the anxiety?
Well, a lot of things. I guess first thing that comes to mind is when, I guess, the first move happens, whether or not it's from her or you, stuff like that.
First time you meet somebody, or
that, yeah, just like talking in general, even like seeing them from afar, it's like, oh my god, like, ooh, I'm getting like heartfelt right now.
there's some excitement there.
Yes. Well, there's a whole lot of emotions that happen going on, both positive and negative, and I feel like they both play into what you're going to eventually talk to them about, how to open up with it.
Okay. And what do you do when you're in that situation? How do you regulate yourself to continue that conversation?
Honestly, right now, because before I used to like pretty much just lie, about myself, saying, oh, I'm this and I'm this, oh, I'm so confident, but I'm not.
Okay.
And after some heartbreaking relationships in the past and some little bit of time of self-discovery, I learned more about myself, and it's okay to be myself.
Very nice.
So right now, I'm just learning how to be myself.
Growing in your self-confidence.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, because I think anxiety, some parts of anxiety are related to your self-confidence, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
How much you feel about yourself, and that goes back into the attachment styles and what was happening when you were growing up.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
How much attention were you getting? Were your parents consistent? Were they there? Right, like all of that somehow jumps into the attachment styles, and then now, as you grow into your future relationships, there is anxiety attached to it. Am I somewhere right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
Tell me more.
Tell you more.
Yeah.
I think it can also leach into not just romantic relationships, but in familial relationships and friendships, anything platonic, where I have often found myself needing that like consistent validation of like, yes, I love you. Yes, I care about you. I'm here for you. And fear that people are gonna run away or they're gonna find something better. And that ties into abandonment issues, which I think is separate but definitely related to the anxious attachment. I don't know where to go with that.
How do you work on building your self-confidence? What do you have some strategies? Like what do you do?
I mean, honestly, I just walk around talking to myself, giving myself self-confidence.
Okay.
I can do this, I can do that.
Self-talk, okay. Positive self-talk.
I'd like to say so. Most of the time, pretty much so, but there is those occasional little, oh my god, I'm not this, what if this happens? And,
right.
Yeah.
Creeps in.
Yeah, thing about like anxiety and relationships and stuff I feel like another thing that relates to that is overthinking about it.
Absolutely.
Because overthinking is kind of like a thing that people have, I'd like to say, that they deal with like almost all the time. And overthinking is just like, it's complicated to say the least, dealing with positive and negative at the same time, and trying to like explain yourself truthfully, trying to just, I guess, spit the truth out.
Yeah, to say what you actually feel and what you actually mean, and like, why are we afraid of that?
Why are we afraid?
Why are we afraid of that?
There are many reasons, like personal trauma, like again with the youth, and it also ties into like how you were raised and what you were told growing up. Like since my mother left when I was a kid, and growing up my dad was dating all sorts of women, and usually when like breakups would happen, he would just, I guess, basically belittle them, like telling them, oh, like women aren't this, like they can't do this to a man, like a man has to do this, kind of like, just kind of like saying like men are supposed to be the dominant ones and men aren't supposed to like be sensitive.
And that had an effect on how you viewed relationships or viewed women or...
Yeah, both those and all of the above, because, since like that, I am very much a sensitive guy, and that's a bit of a struggle when it comes to relationships because, growing up, I was told like, oh, women don't want that. They just want you to, do the manly stuff, do the heavy lifting. And it's like, but I want to get like personal with them because if I'm going through like a tough time, like sad or anything like that, and I want to be comforted, like, then I can't be comforted unless it's by another man.
Right.
Which, yeah, although they do sometimes help, it's just different with a woman, I guess.
Okay. All right. Bre, you got thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I have worked through I'm still working through my anxiety in relationships. For me, it's been through therapy, which, talk therapy doesn't help for everyone, but I think it's a really great starting point for most people. I had been through a few really bad relationships. I don't use the word toxic lightly, but definitely toxic relationships back to back to back. And finally, I had realized that I didn't like the way that I was being treated in the relationship and how I was being talked to. And that made me realize, okay, then why do I talk to myself that way? And why do I let people treat me like that?
Okay.
And I realized it came from, a place of lack of self-confidence and I guess lack of respect for myself. And I hadn't been able to build that up because I hadn't really been shown a good model for self-respect. And I realized I needed to build that for myself, and I felt inspired by the individuals around me, and I made the jump to start therapy, and I've been in therapy for a little over 4 years now, and looking back on the person that I was 4 years ago is always a little bit of a jump scare for me, because I'll see a picture of that person, I'm like, I don't know who that is. Like, I've completely transformed in the most beautiful way possible, and it's been really hard work. It is not easy work to look at the demons on the inside and have to face that discomfort and figure out where those deep-rooted fears and insecurities come from, but it is necessary work because you deserve to be your own best friend, and you deserve to treat yourself with respect. And if you're standing up for your friends and trying to motivate them to set boundaries and respect themselves and talk highly of themselves and believe in themselves, you got to be able to do that for yourself as well.
Facts.
If you want to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And I finally realized that, and I was like, all right, I got to get my butt in therapy and get something moving here, because I'm uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. So let's change something.
All right, so like you both had different relationships. Is there a time when you had to set boundaries in these relationships? When you realized like, hey, how did you handle that? Because now you're anxious, you have anxiety, right? And you have to set boundaries. How do you handle that?
How do we like handle boundaries?
Yeah,
how do we take that?
So you're like we were saying, you're realizing that the way this person's talking to you, the way they're treating you, is not something that you want. How do you set boundaries? How do you communicate that to somebody while you have anxiety? Going into that situation where now I have to say something, like I have to, like that's what caused me anxiety. It causes me anxiety. So like, how do you handle that? Help me.
That's a tough one to answer. First thing that comes to mind is just, yes, although you are feeling nervous and anxious and whatnot, just in that moment, I think you should just put that aside and listen closely, and then probably just speak your mind and how you truly feel. That's something that I've learned, because like, going off like what I said earlier, I would usually just like lie and stuff, and that's how I would usually handle boundaries. I would like counterattack it with a lie, like, oh, like a boundary would be like in my past relationship, oh, you can't game like past 10 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, but why? Like, why can't I do that? But this is happening in the game, and I have to do it. It's like, why though? I don't have to. It's not like I'm in a like relationship with that game and stuff. Like, I'm positive with that. Oh, they don't criticize me. Like, there's no negatives, I guess, with that, other than like, I don't know, slow Wi-Fi.
Okay. All right. Bre, what do you think? How do you set those boundaries?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, how do you approach the person, and what do you do?
it's taken a long time to understand how to do it. I think before I would kind of run away from it and would make excuses for their behavior and not change anything about it, even if I knew that I didn't like the way that I was being spoken to or treated. I would talk to my friends about it, and they'd be like, Bre, you need to like say something about that. Like, have you tried to talk to them about it? And I'm like, well, no, like it's not that bad. Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. And then, of course, started therapy and everything. And first doing it feels really scary. And I sometimes found myself trying to resort back to those old habits of like gaslighting myself that it wasn't that bad, even though I knew deep down in my emotions and my intuition that this didn't feel good. And so first starting it was a slower process of needing to take a step back when I, had something trigger me or felt that I wasn't being treated right. I would just kind of take a couple days to reflect on it, and then would try to just have like a calm conversation with them, and based on how they would reply would kind of tell me how I wanted to proceed from there. So if I got a positive response of like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that upset you, and we could talk through it and they hear me out and everything, that's best case scenario, then it works out fine and we move on from there, and hopefully they stick to that boundary of not saying a certain thing or not doing a certain thing, or if you say or do this thing, I'm going to react this way, or I'm going to need to take a step back, or it makes me feel this way. So if that action continues afterwards, then I most likely will step away from the relationship. So yeah, it kind of depends on their reaction, what action I take. But yeah, I usually try to take a step back for a day or two to analyze what's going on internally, and then from there just try and approach them like, hey, I just have something I want to chat with you about. And no one likes hearing that. Those are the most terrifying words to hear. Yeah.
Especially.
Oh my gosh, especially someone with anxiety. When someone tells me, hey, I have to talk to you. Oh.
Why? What happened? And you'd start thinking about everything that happened?
You start to overthink.
Yeah.
all the
Instantly,
possible
I'm like, who died? Like,
Worst case scenario.
What did I do that could have caused something so horrible? And it's like, oh, you just did or said this thing that upset me, and we can chat about it. So yeah, I think just like it really is so much easier said than done when you have anxiety, but having a conversation and being able to level your emotions is so important.
So it sounds like you take a step back, take some time.
Yeah.
You analyze.
Yeah.
Do you decide what you're gonna say before you get there?
Oh, I mean, come on now. An anxious brain has to decide everything.
Right.
I often try to think of talking points, but I try not to plan it out too much. Definitely earlier on when I was starting this practice, I would write out a whole speech of what I wanted to say. Of course. I've got to rehearse it. But you really truly never know how someone is going to react. So I often now just try to come up with talking points and flow along with the conversation from there to figure out where I'm going to go and what I'm going to say next. Like any regular conversation that you're having with someone.
And this applies to like not just your personal relationships, right? Like girlfriend, whatever. This is your parents as well, right? Because if you have to set boundaries with your parents sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right? Or your family members, whoever it is, like sometimes, and that can be tough too, because some of them, they're seen as elders, right? Or you're supposed to have a certain level of respect for them. How do you have those conversations? How do you set those boundaries? Is it the same?
I wouldn't say so. It necessarily depends on the topics you were discussing. Like with parents, I would say, since they raise you and stuff, it's easier to talk about more personal things. And in a relationship, you have to build that up to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah, so like with, I guess, parents, a thing that I guess you would talk about is like, I don't know, dirty laundry or something like that. I don't know. Like, oh, you gotta do this laundry right now and stuff. And then like relationships, you're just starting out, and you're not at that point until like a few months pass by.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're living together, and then they see your living style, so something like that.
Does trust alleviate some of your anxiety?
Does trust leave you with anxiety?
Yeah. Does it take away some of the anxiety? Like the more trust you're saying, because you're saying like your parents you have a relationship with that you're comfortable in, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, totally.
Nah, okay. But okay, so then what is it then? Why is it different?
Well, I guess I'm still truthfully trying to find the answer to that, really. I guess it all just depends on myself and how I am and how I react to it.
Okay.
Because everyone is raised differently, everybody knows different things, and
Right.
they handle things very differently, parent or relationship-wise. There might be similarities, but it's still a difference.
Yeah. Let's do some personal growth. How do you work on building your self-confidence?
Yeah.
How do you, what else other strategies do you use?
I don't know about strategies, but when just during my free time, I'm pretty sure most people do this, just mindlessly watching videos on YouTube or TikTok, stuff like that. Yeah, I came across some channels like that they have expressed that they feel the same way as I do, and they're saying that it's okay to be like that. And hearing that for the first time, it's like, wow, really? I thought I was the only one.
Okay. So find people that share your experience.
Yeah.
That gives you confidence in the way you feel.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence, because if others feel like this and it's not just a me thing, then obviously they dealt with it differently, but they managed to get through it
Right.
in many different ways possible. So if they got through it, then that means I can get through it, no matter what that way may be.
Okay. Finding familiarity helps you grow in yourself, grow in your own self-confidence.
Yeah.
Knowing that, hey, I am the way I am and I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm good.
Yeah, it's okay to be this way.
Then you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, that makes me feel a lot better about myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I could definitely add to that. Everyone knows that social media is both a blessing and a very, very big curse. But I also have had a lot of relief come from social media. And over the years, I have started following a lot of therapists and a lot of kind of psychology accounts, I guess you would call it, on Instagram and on YouTube, and just hearing about ways that an anxious person would react to something in a relationship versus how a healthy person would react to something in a relationship has really helped put things into perspective for me and has helped give me a goal to work towards. Again, therapy has helped a lot as well in being able to talk through my worries and anxieties and insecurities. And of course, not everyone is able to access therapy, so I'm very grateful for that. And oftentimes it takes people a long time to find a therapist that they connect with, but I am very blessed to have a therapist that I've been able to work with, where I've worked through a lot of my fears and insecurities, and through the help of social media and relating with people online and hearing that I'm not the only one that has the same struggles as myself has been really nice to just not feel so alone, and to kind of validate those feelings and have a community of people to know that are supporting you and are working through the same thing themselves, and that you're not broken because of the anxieties that you feel, and that it is possible to work through them. It is possible to work from your anxious attachment style or your avoidant attachment style towards a healthier attachment style where you feel more secure and stable within yourself and needing it less from an external source.
First of all, we have free counseling in the huddle, 10 sessions, so you come on and use that. But do you feel like with generalized anxiety, it's harder to maintain relationships? You think that you have a harder time maintaining relationships?
I would say so.
Yeah, why? Or give me an example or talk about it.
Oh gosh. Now's not a good time for the brain to blank right now.
It's okay, go ahead, Bre. So, generalized anxiety disorder, what is that first?
Oh boy. I am no doctor or psychologist.
Me either. I'm not a counselor.
Just fair warning here. I would say generalized anxiety is kind of just like fear about being alive. And so, fears come in many forms, and there are often fears that kind of make no sense to you, like irrational fears, people would call them, like fear of heights or fear of spiders or whatever it may be. But with generalized anxiety, it's often fears that are rooted a lot deeper down, like a fear of abandonment or fear of, my brain's also blanking.
Seems like a lot of these things, they're coming from a fear of abandonment. That's again a childhood issue. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You agree? Yeah?
Yeah.
So a lot of these things stem from our childhood, whether that's usually our parental relationships, and not that our parents are at fault for anything, because they also had parental relationships, right? So there's a line of things that made us who we are. Once we start to understand that, does that help with does it change anything for you?
I think it depends on who you ask. Some people may say that psychoanalysis doesn't help them. Mm-hmm. I find it's helped me a lot because I like to know the whys of things, of why do I react this way when someone brings this up in conversation or someone does this. Knowing the why helps me work through the root cause, or it helps me know what the root cause is, and from there I can work through that. Whereas if it's just fear of abandonment, okay, where does that come from? Why do I have that? And without getting into my personal trauma here, because we don't have enough time, it's knowing the why helps me work through those things more directly. So with generalized anxiety, it's kind of a whole mix of anxiety in a lot of different places that leaves you feeling pretty alone and sometimes really paralyzed in being afraid to take action, being afraid to stand up for yourself, to take up space, really, just in the world in general. So for me personally, understanding the root causes and finding them through therapy has been super duper beneficial for me. But some people, it's not helpful and they need help on a more somatic level. So like EMDR and, maybe psychedelic therapy, whatever it may be. So
I'm using these big words. I
am a nerd when it comes to forms of therapy.
What is somatic therapy?
Somatic therapy is within the body. So when you have a dysregulated nervous system, usually when your fears and anxieties are stored deeply in your body. So I'm going to be starting EMDR soon, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy.
Okay.
So it's this thing where you sit with a therapist, and for a few sessions, they get to know you and what problems you want to work through. And then through eye movement and thinking about certain things that you have yet to release, your brain is able to reprocess things and reform those emotions into more positive memories so that they aren't stored in your body as fear anymore, because fear is often stored in the body. And so this therapy was first developed for soldiers with PTSD, and it worked amazing. It had incredible results, and so they continued to do research on it and kind of fine tune it, and now it is really helpful for people with anxiety, depression, CPTSD. I have all of those things. So I talked with my therapist, and yeah, he thought it'd be a great idea for me to try. So I'm very nervous because it's a very intense therapy, but I've talked with some friends that have done it, and it has been incredibly helpful for them. They've been able to get off their medication and everything, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay. Is that something, I just wanted for everybody that might be interested, is that something that you need your doctor to recommend, your therapist to recommend? Can you go find it yourself, or do you need a prescription? How's that work?
You can absolutely go find it yourself because it is really intense. I mean, you don't just jump right into the active session. So you could even have a first session with an EMDR therapist to see if it's a right fit for you. Yeah, you can go out and get it, just like
Go find your own therapist.
Advil in a grocery store.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Jinx,
Oh no.
have you tried any forms of therapy?
Any forms of
Yeah,
therapy?
have you tried any therapy in relation to your anxiety or depression, but whatever? But like, yeah, have you tried anything? Like, what have you tried to help you process or deal with your anxieties?
Well, to help me process and deal with my anxieties, since I feel like, growing up, we're very influenced on what we see and what we're told, and I can work in many ways, and trying to explain that to someone who may not be as, like a fast thinker, someone who's a bit slow-minded is a bit challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So a way that for me to find the truth is, because I'm a lover of media, like movies and TV shows, and there's a lot of truth that is explained and hidden in those movies and TV shows.
Okay.
And I feel like that gets to me more, because when it comes from a friend or a family member, it does mean something, but I tend to not look at it as it like so seriously, just because it's like, oh yeah, it's probably happened before. Yeah, it's happened to me before. Yeah, I'll get over it. When it's coming from these like big Hollywood actors and voice actors, seeing that everything's not just all about show business and everything's just a piece of cake, seeing that the hardships that those types of people do go through, and how they explain it in what they are doing, even in like children's movies, like I guess an example would be like Inside Out 2, anxiety and fear in that.
Right, love those, yeah.
And yeah, and how they handle anxiety in that movie is rather like, I don't know, what's the word? I guess like enlightening or something like that. Like seeing how it is interpreted from the mind. Seeing, it works in many different ways, but generally it's kind of like the same thing. It's just like a fear, but it's more like open. It's not just focusing on certain aspects of fear, like certain things. It's focusing on all of the above fears, some like stuff like that, and how they write that in, keeping in mind like, oh, this is like a children's movie, so we got to write in a way that children can understand, while also, it hits the adults, and seeing how, watching that for the first time, how that impacted me. It's like, wow, I actually like teared up for a bit, like, oh my gosh, this is a kids movie, dang.
Yeah, that scene got me
Yeah,
for sure.
like, wow.
Saw it in theaters, sobbing.
So you're able to relate to that right away?
Yeah, and I feel like relating to stuff like that, for me anyway, I feel is much easier to comprehend, much easier to process and take in.
Mm-hmm.
Just because my love for it, because I love to like do some digging on it, like lore wise, I guess, get into the story and stuff, deep digging and seeing like the backstory behind the characters, the process behind the scenes and all that, even like voice recordings, the emotion that they put into the voice, and how they actually bring their personal stuff into the voice and how they change it is quite endearing. It's like very like, wow.
So in a genre that you're interested in, so you're able to use that for your own therapy?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
And it's, not everything has that, because if you just watch a horror movie, they're not going to have like anxiety or something like that shown. It's just like, it's just a basic slasher. Oh, there's someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, because the question was like, have you ever tried any kinds of therapy? And what you're saying is that you have found things in the media. You mentioned social media before,
Yeah.
and now it's movies, and you take these little points from them, these little plots, and you use them for yourself. Use them to help yourself. Have they helped?
Yeah, they helped. Like,
Yeah?
very much so. Like, watching them, like, growing up and stuff, it's kind of, like, built my personality a lot as well. Like, from, like, cartoons and stuff, the very wacky, random humor and stuff, yeah, that's part of me, but, like, seeing some of the deep, serious stuff that they talk about, like anxiety, fear, some even go as far to talk about suicide and death, like, seeing how they tackle that and how they explain it for younger audiences, it's quite shocking that they would allow that in such a, like, younger shows.
Right.
And yeah, as for, like, just, like, besides that, other ways I would find, like, therapy, well, if you go down to Huddle right now, they're actually
Yeah, promote it all. Please do promote it. No, come down to Huddle for real. Okay, so we talked about relationships with your partners, with your family. What about your friends? Are those comfortable relationships? Does anxiety creep into those relationships as well?
Yeah, especially when like it's first happening, like trying to make new friends, whether they come on you or vice versa.
Right.
Because they're just a stranger and you don't even know them, but they want to get to know you, or switch it around.
Mm-hmm.
And once that gate is open, and those eventually do, like, those personal things do come out eventually, seeing how, like, they handle it and whatnot, and some, like, can relate to that as well, it's quite endearing that they can, like, kind of understand and be there for me and relate to that, because it makes us feel better. It makes us feel better, and makes us want to help them and help ourselves out through our personal fears and troubles. Like, if that did anything.
No, made a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I've experienced quite a bit of anxiety in relationships. Ever since I was little, I always struggled. Did I say relationships? I meant friendships.
Friendships.
Sometimes a friendship can blossom into a relationship.
For sure. Yeah. And that's the best.
That's a safe way for it to start. It's the best way for it to start, I think.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I was little, I really struggled with friendships and keeping them, and I think part of the fear of abandonment comes from struggling to keep friendships, because I often had friends that we would be besties. We were so close. We spent so much time together, and then all of a sudden someone else comes along that sparks their interest more, and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I never even existed, and then I'm left to kind of stumble on until I find my new bestie. And in childhood, I find it was a really big thing of, at least in my childhood where I went to school and everything, it was a really big thing of, like, this is my best friend. And sure, I have other friends, but no one else compares to my best friend.
Right.
And it felt so good to be someone's best friend. It felt like I was special and I was wanted, and like I had a duty. And then when I was, I don't know, I guess you could say fired from being the best friend just out of nowhere, I didn't know if I said something wrong or I did something wrong, and a lot of anxiety came out of that, of fear of not wanting to upset people, and so walking on eggshells and being a people pleaser because I don't want people to run away. Yeah, having that happen created all of those things for me, and I've struggled with friendships my whole life because of that anxiety and wanting to be the best version of myself possible, wanting to be the best friend possible so that I wouldn't lose those friendships. And a lot of times I would put my needs to the side so that I could be there for my friend. So even if I had zero emotional capacity left, I would still be there for my friends, and I would go out of the way for them and do anything that I possibly could to show them that I was loyal, that I was the bestest friend of best friends that could ever be, so that I didn't lose them. And I would still lose them. It didn't matter what I did. And that's when I realized that it's like, it doesn't matter what I do. If someone's meant to be in my life, they'll stay in my life. And if someone is ready to move on for whatever reason it may be, it like most likely isn't my fault. And I hope that if there is something that I said or did that upset them, that caused them to leave the friendship or to distance themselves from me, that they would talk to me about it. Right. And so that also really, that realization helped me move into more of a feeling of self-confidence and security within myself that, of course, still very much working on, and those fears still creep up every once in a while, but that really helped me to feel more secure in myself and know that if someone leaves, it's most likely not because of me. Nor because of them, but just because that's how life works. That's how any sort of relationship works.
Sometimes things pass.
Yeah.
Sometimes they grow.
People
sometimes
come,
wither.
go.
Yeah, it's a lifespan of everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like also, and this is me being crazy, like sometimes we feel like, don't you feel like sometimes you're more committed than other people?
1,000,000%.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
like why did I put so much into this and you did not?
100%. And I think it's important to have the strength to walk away from those relationships as well, whether it be romantic or platonic, to know your worth. And if you feel that it's one-sided, try to talk to them about it. And again, however the conversation goes, that's how you decide what actions you want to take from there.
Yeah, I like how you said, I like how before you were talking about taking your time to go and sit back, because you have to be gentle with those conversations, right?
Yeah.
You're not trying to fight with anybody, but you want to tell them how you feel.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to, it's almost like it's got to be the right place, right time, but if we try to get that, sometimes it'll never happen.
Exactly.
Right? So it's just being gentle and actually just being very frank and clear with how you feel. And if they respect it, they respect it. You can't control other people how they're going to react either.
Exactly. So. And if you try and wait for the perfect time, it's never going to come.
Never come.
Nothing is ever perfect.
Especially when you have anxiety.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just always going to be a reason why, you know?
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, they spilled their coffee this morning, so like maybe I'll wait until tomorrow.
Can't make their day any worse.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, oh well, their dog peed on the rug today, so maybe I'll just wait. And it's like, no, bro, you just need to do it. Like just stand up for yourself. I mean, of course, use your judgment. If there's something serious going on, maybe don't have that conversation.
There's sometimes,
maybe wait a little bit, but yeah, there's never a completely perfect time.
All right.
Yeah.
So you both experienced a lot of personal growth. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can call it that.
All right. So, like, if you could see yourself a few years ago, what would you be telling that person?
Probably that it's okay to open up and just to truly be yourself. Because, growing up, I would just really kind of influence my personality on others and kind of take that and use it to my own advantages. And
You're a trickster.
Yeah, very much. And that was, I was a ladies' man back in the day. But anyway. But just seeing how I was looking back on, oh my gosh, those traumatic days of like elementary and especially middle school, and seeing how I was, I've grown a lot. And I just probably just tell them, it's just okay to be yourself. If you need to talk to someone, don't let the fear overcome you. Just be yourself and branch out to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, the version of me that existed before I started therapy, I would probably tell them to stand up for themselves and again, kind of tying back to that thing of, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. I was always encouraging my friends to stand up for themselves, to set boundaries, to be open and honest about their emotions and things that were happening that they weren't comfortable with or weren't happy with, yet I was letting myself being walked all over. And yeah, so I guess I would just tell the younger version of myself that it's okay to feel big emotions and it's important to talk about them, and that even if it doesn't come out perfectly, I'm at least being honest. And if someone loves me for who I am, they will help me talk through it and not just see the emotion, but hear the story behind it and help me work through what I'm feeling if I'm struggling to work through it.
That's very well said. I feel like we have to be authentic to find authentic relationships, right?
For sure.
Like, if we're not being ourselves, or if we're not being honest with how we feel, we're not going to find the person that's supposed to be with us. We're going to find somebody that's fitting that person that you're pretending you are. Like, if you're going to be a little bit more docile, then you're going to find somebody that wants that. But if that's not who you are, then don't be that person, because you're not going to be happy.
100%.
We're going to close it off.
Yeah.
I have a little quote, and you guys can tell me how you feel about it, and then we'll just call it a day, okay?
All right.
It's okay to feel anxious about love and friendships. It just means you care deeply. Remember, great connection starts with being vulnerable. I feel like you guys covered all of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, for coming and do this podcast. Hope you feel compelled to come back and do more. Yeah? It was fun.
Thanks so much for having me, Omar. This was so cool. My very first podcast recording. I feel like a star.
You are a star.
Thank
you guys
you.
did amazing.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
like, we hope the goal is that everything you said goes out and reaches somebody and helps them grow as we all continue to grow. Because I'm pushing a little bit over 25 and I'm still growing. Right? We're all still growing. It's a journey.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.